Hi, my name is Patrick Adams. I'm Director of Strategy Planning Analysis for FedEx. Well, I don't know if the concept of strategic planning has changed over the past few years. I think the importance of it has been raised significantly in companies large and small. So that's forced us to talk about it more. That's forced us to think about it more, think about how effective it is, think about, as practitioners, what we do, our roles in it, the processes and tools. But it is as important as it's ever been. But fundamentally, I don't think it's changed. I think the importance of it and the realization of that importance is what's coming to bear now. Well, I think digital is very important. I think it is upon us. It's not even the next wave, it is here. And so we have to react to that, and we have to give the consumers what they want and what the market demands. The thing about digital is that it is a platform for many other things. And so, standing on the edge of digital, you can see a lot of other capabilities and advances that are out there. And so I think it's particularly important to get digital right for your company or for your organization, for your customers, because what it means for the next 5 to 10, 15 years is hugely important. Can we still plan for the long term? I think we can, but I think it requires a unique look at short-term and mid-range planning as well. I think that, the years of doing long-range planning, 5 to 10 years out isn't over, but it has to be coupled with a keen awareness of what's going on now. And I think the issue is that the short-term, given the climate, the global climate, the business climate, the market forces, the short-term changes so fast, which ultimately impacts the long term. You have to constantly be looking at short and mid-range. So I think planning for the long term still exists, but I think it doesn't exist in isolation. You really have to take a look at what's going on in short term and then what's going on in the medium term as well. Strategic partnerships has a huge impact to the strategic planning process. I mean, that was one of the things I spoke about, in particular, how you cultivate, how you collaborate, how you understand perspectives within your own organization, really frame up strategy in terms of formulation and also strategy in terms of execution of the strategy. One of the things I spoke about was no longer can we create strategy in isolation void of execution. So we have to know from an organizational standpoint how we execute and then layer that back into the strategy of what we want to get done. Well, I think that in terms of realigning strategy for emerging markets, the needs of the marketplace and especially emerging markets are so unique. It is forcing organizations and companies to look at doing things differently in terms of creating scale and also being very small, the consumer of one, the power of one. And so it doesn't change the nature of strategy, but the emerging markets force organizations to go at it a little bit differently. I think the power of the consumer is much more important. So it's not mass marketing, it's not mass appeal, it's really mass customization. How can you create an environment where you're really focused in on a consumer, a smaller set of consumers, yet you still want to yield the same results? You have to get very intimate and very personal. So I think that a lot of what's going on in the emerging markets really forces companies in terms of their strategic thinking to scale down in some respects. And also it's a different look at what it means to have companies grow. So in the past, it was a lot of capital intensive efforts. And so some of that will still exist, but now you have to think about in the digital space, in the wireless space, things that don't require as much capital. Some of the emerging markets will look dramatically different from some of the more mature markets, some of the more Western markets.